Welcome to Roadrunner Predictions. It's Football Saturday. I have a lot of information on some great matchups, and let's go ahead and get started. I'll kind of give you the predictions of what I have, and then you can stay for the rest of the video as I break down each team if you like. It's your option. Let's just go to the Big Ten to start us off here. We have number 6 Wisconsin, who's 6-0, head to number 91 Illinois, who is 2-4. Wisconsin scores on average 42.5 points a game, and Illinois scores 30.7. The over-under's at 50.5, and it opened up at 51. Today, I like Wisconsin minus 31. I just think it's going to be too big of a controlled game, and the tempo Wisconsin just plows through, and they just don't stop. They're such a good first and second half team, and they control the ball quite often with their running percentage compared to most programs. So let's just kind of go into the rest of the details here. Hopefully you can make up your own decision and see what you like with the information that I help provide. Wisconsin versus Illinois overtime all-time matchup. Wisconsin 42 wins, 7 ties. Illinois 37 wins. Wisconsin 14 conference championships to Illinois' 15 conference. Wisconsin 0 national championships, 2 Heisman. Illinois 5 national championships. Yes, these are from way back in the day. Still counts though throughout the historic program of the NCAA. Before that, the whole just college football in general, and they have 0 Heisman. Wisconsin's currently on a 9-game win streak. Let's go yards of play. Wisconsin 6.2, Illinois 4.7. Wisconsin rushes the ball 64% of the time and passes 36%. Illinois 52, rush pass 48%. Completion percent 77 for Wisconsin. So when they do pass the ball, they are very efficient. In fact, incredibly efficient. To 56% just for Illinois. Third down conversion rate of over 50% at 52 and 36% for Illinois. Strength of schedule, Wisconsin is number 23. Pardon me. In Illinois, I have at 100. They're out definitely, both teams are on the softer side of things in the Pac-12. I'm sorry, in the Big Ten, in the West Division. So it's no surprise that their strength of schedule is not as tough as some of the others in the Big Ten. Illinois is 78, ranked 78 at home, and Wisconsin is very good on the road. So that's my breakdown of the Wisconsin-Illinois game. I like Wisconsin, just power to control. Then, like I said, they own both halves of the game extremely well. Illinois might be able to put up points, but I don't see them getting their 20s. I hardly see it. Their average is below. Wisconsin is so good at keeping teams under third down conversion rate and just annihilates them for controlled tempo for their average yards of play. So Illinois only averaging 4.7, and Wisconsin normally holds their opponents to under 3 yards of play. So that's just too scary to face. Let's go ahead and go into the other Big Ten matchup that I have going on. I did 2 in each. I have Michigan, number 16 Michigan, who's 5-1, headed to number 7 Penn State, who is 6-0. This game is my most exciting game I'm looking forward to this week because it's going to answer a lot of questions for us here in the Big Ten. Points per game on average, Michigan is averaging 30.3 points to Penn State's averaging 42. Like, where did this and how did this happen? Where Penn State is just this insanely good defensive team, but yet they're offensively a monster. It's just crazy. I don't know. To me, it's very surprising. They came out super strong this year. Of course, we expected them to be good. I'm not saying that or anything different, but to the numbers they're producing, it's just insane. It's like the Maryland, when they opened up the first 4 games this year, you're like, is this team for real? Then we quickly found out, no, they're not for real. I mean, they're still talented. They still have a lot of talented players. So I mean, all these kids are better than I am, even on my best day. So by all means, I'm not knocking any of the programs and the talents they have there. Okay, so with that in mind, Michigan is getting +8. The over/under is at 46. I'm taking Michigan +8. I just like the points in this. Two programs that that have a lot going for them. Uh, Between the all-time matchup, Michigan has 14 wins in this. To Penn State has 8. Michigan has 11 national championships to 2 for Penn State. Michigan has 42 conference champions, and Penn State has 4. Yards of play, 5.5 for Michigan and 6.1 for Penn State. Michigan rushes the ball 55% of the time, passes 45. Penn State rushes the ball 56% and passes 44. Both teams are pretty close on to how they play, but that's pretty typical for Big Ten gameplay as well. So it's not till you get to like your Maryland, your Purdue, your Illinois, or your Ohio State, you get kind of the the higher pass rates. Completion percentage 56 for Michigan to 63 for Penn State. Third down conversions 37% for Michigan, which is just a huge just dud. There's Plop, Shea Patterson. It's almost awkward watching their offense sometimes. It's crazy because their line is so good, but they get like so confused sometimes. When you watch them when they're working, when they're playing great, it's perfection. You're like, okay, this is the Harbaugh we know. This is like what you expect, and then they have like such weird hiccups, and you're like, where did that come from? These guys, they have just so much opportunity to just route, and they're just unable to, just too hiccupy. Third down conversion rate for Penn State is 49%. Strength of schedule, I have Michigan at 17 and Penn State at 16. Michigan is 30th on the road. Penn State is number 9 at home. Michigan's only loss came from number 13th ranked Wisconsin, who is a very tough team. They played them well. Penn State's coming off of a great win against Iowa. It's a controlled game, and that's kind of what we're expecting here in this one. But I expect a little more points than the Penn State Iowa game. I think Harbaugh he needs this one big time. Yeah, I was trying to get some watching the coach pre-game and coach conference and get an opinion of where Harbaugh's mind's at and for this matchup, but I couldn't really get the exact material and information I was looking for, but I did find enough. He knows that this is a pretty big win, of course, and he's doing everything he can to make it happen, but it's just so frustrating for Michigan people because they know they're supposed to be in the promised land, and Urban Meyer leaves Ohio State, and they think, yeah, Michigan for not 1 second doubted Ohio State was still going to be good. They knew that. That whole program knew that. The coaches knew that. They were telling the kids that the whole time, like, hey, listen, Urban Meyer's gone. This doesn't mean it's automatically ours. But to the public say, oh, Urban Meyer's gone. This is it. This is Michigan. Michigan's turn. And then all of a sudden you have Penn State, who just becomes this powerhouse. Well, let's say refined powerhouse, because they already were. And now it's just you're getting nuts and bolts thrown into the gears. And welcome to the Big Ten gameplay for you. Michigan is 1-9 against top 10 opponents since Harbaugh's been coaching there, which is very scary. But James Franklin is 2-8 against Michigan and Michigan State since he's been there. So put that in a blender, and you got some crap pancakes. My prediction is Michigan's able to hang in there just enough. Let's go with like a 24-28 point game with Michigan covering 8 points. All right, that's it for the Big Ten. Let me go ahead and go into SEC. Why not, right? I have number 9 Florida, who is 6-1, going to number 25 South Carolina, who is 3-3. Points per game for Florida is 31.7 to South Carolina, scoring on average 28.8 points a game. In this all-time matchup, Florida is owning the matchup at 27 wins, 3 ties, and 9 wins for South Carolina. Florida has 3 national championships and 8 conference championships. South Carolina has no national championships and just 1 conference championship. I was kind of surprised when I looked that up. I thought South Carolina would at least have a couple more conference championships, but it just goes to show you, even in the 90s and early 2000s, it's still just a tight niche there in that SEC with your Georgia and your Florida teams. So, and then you had Tennessee, who was relevant, and so it's like, yeah, the power did shift a bit to teams and Auburn, but the bottom feeders still weren't able to ever really capture any conference championships. The spread's at 5.5 for Florida, and the over/under is at 46. I'm actually taking Florida this game at 5.5, and I've been down on Florida throughout most of the year. Even kind of when they got that good win against Auburn, I still was like, yeah, that's a really good win. And they deserved it. They were the better team that day for sure. But I just wasn't convinced. Auburn's offense is just so bad. But that just goes to show you it doesn't really matter. That their defense is incredible. I still think it's one of the best in the nation. Easily, in my opinion, number 4 or 5. Yards of play for Florida is 5.9. To South Carolina is 4.6. Florida rushes the ball 47 and passes 53% of the time. South Carolina rushes the ball 45 and passes 55%. Completion percentage for Florida is 64%. To South Carolina is 57%. Third down conversion rate of 39 to South Carolina's 31%. Strength of schedule, we have Florida at number 8, and we have South Carolina at number 2. And that's throughout the whole year, too, because South Carolina still has to go through the gauntlet of SEC, and they've already gone through a little, and they have Florida today, and it's not going to get any better for them in the future. Florida plays exceptionally well second half. Gamecocks usually keep it close and fall short in the third and fourth quarter, and that's kind of where I like to stand on Florida. I could see it being pretty close up to later in the game, but then Florida's ground and pound and noose is just kind of outweighing. South Carolina just beat Georgia in second overtime, while Florida just got beat up by LSU bad. And that is where, as you know, that's one of my biggest strategy things I like is when you have a team of better value, better points a game, better defensive stats too. They just got beat up, and then the team that they're facing just came off of a great win. I love that whirlwind tornado of death, and that's why we have Florida at the cover at -5.5. Let's go back to our next Big Ten game matchup I have Kentucky versus Georgia. I have Kentucky ranked at 55, Georgia number 8. I don't always agree with ESPN's top 25 prediction or ranking system, and I know most of us don't. But I understand that they have it there for the reason. Even they kind of know that these teams are going to stumble, but they just need it to wait out and play out because all that matters is how it looks in the end. And that's where I think a lot of people get impatient. I have too when I was younger, and now I kind of realize, like, yeah, they even know that they're not supposed to be ranked 19th right now, but they're 5-0. They know that, but they just got to let the numbers and let the teams work themselves out or work themselves up. So that's where that comes in at. Georgia owns this matchup by 58 wins to Kentucky's 12, and they have 2 ties. Points per game for Kentucky is 23.5. For Georgia, it's 38.5. The spread is Georgia's favored 24.5, and the over/under is 45.5. And my pick for this game is the over/under. We want the over at 45.5. And we could see where I came up with that. We have one national championship for Kentucky, two national championships for Georgia, two conference champs for Kentucky, no Heisman, 14 conference championships for Georgia, and two Heismans for the Dogs. I already went over points per game. Let's go yards of play. Kentucky averages 5.4 a play to Georgia 7. Kentucky rushes the ball 54% of the time and passes 46%. Georgia rushes the ball 43% and passes 47%. Completion percentage is just 53% for Kentucky, which I'm actually surprised because usually they have a better air threat and completion percentage. Georgia is at 69% completion rate. Third down conversion, 37 for Kentucky to 40% for Georgia. If Georgia was able to bring up that number to 50 on their third down conversion rate, they would be insanely better. And I mean, they'd match numbers with, I'm talking the best of the best in the country. Kentucky plays down on the road. I have them at number 71. Georgia is a top 10 team at home at number 10. Strength of schedule for Kentucky is number 40, I'm sorry. Georgia is number 20. And that's just the sides that they're on. That's all I can say. Georgia plays consistent throughout the whole game, and I like that consistency to carry into points, and that's what I have for the over-under. I like the over at 45.5. That wraps up my SEC matchups. I'm not going to do the Clemson and the Alabama when they're playing crap teams as much. I mean, if it was a Thursday or standalone game, I'd do it, but it's not exciting to me. I don't really care when you're favored 45 or 25 and against a team that's way towards the end. Yeah, I get the spreads on these are pretty deep, but at least the programs are playing teams that are so relevant. I mean, they're going to make good bowl games at least. So that's where I kind of drew that up. I have number 7. We're going to the Pac-12 now. I have number 17 Arizona State, who's 5-1, headed to number 13 Utes, who are 5-1. Utah's favored 13.5, and the over/under is 46. All-time in this matchup, Arizona State has 22 wins. Utah just has 8. 17 conference championships for Arizona and 26 conference championships for Utah. My prediction is Arizona State plus 13.5. I'm taking the points here on this game. I just didn't see a big enough gap to think anything different than that. Let's go ahead and break it down. Yards per play for Arizona State, 5.9 to Utah, 6.8. Arizona rushes the ball 52%, passes 48. Utah rushes the ball 65% and passes 35%. So definitely a rush-heavy team. The completion percent is 63% for Arizona State, and to where the completion rate for Utah Utes is 74%. Third down conversion rate is 46% for Arizona State to just 41% for Utes. The higher 40s on the third down rate is to me worth points and points, because imagine position football where you're on your own 46. Yeah, you're down 14 now, but guess what? You might actually try with a almost 50-50 chance compared to a 60-40. I don't know. I think it makes teams play and extend drives a little bit longer. And Utah's defense is good. I understand that, but it's not the caliber good as basically most of the power teams we just went over in this video. So Arizona State is 18 on the road. Utah's ranked 25 at home. So Arizona State's going to play up for this game, I believe, on the road. Strength of schedule is 47 for Arizona State to 32 for the Utes. Arizona State plays teams at Utah's level very tough. Utah plays teams at Arizona State's level really well. Stanford, what the heck? I just have the Utes play all quarters really well, and Arizona State actually plays uh, better in the second half. And you could have your 13 and a half points, you could be losing by 20 points as uh, Arizona State and get a better drive in the last half just to score, and all of a sudden, boom, you're right in the money just off of a last minute touchdown, last minute drive from Arizona State. I could easily see that happen, and that's another reason why I like that number, that spread. So I have Arizona State there plus 13 and a half. We're going to go to our last and final game here, and we're seeing the Pac-12. We have number 12 Oregon headed to number 25 Washington. This is my second most favorite game this week. I can't wait to see how this one's going to play out. It's a night game, so it gives me a little more opportunity to help watch it too. Oregon has 46 wins in this matchup to Washington has 60. They both tied 5 times. I mean, they tied each other 5 times. They both. No national championships for Oregon, 11 conference titles. 2 national championships for Washington, 17 conference titles. 1 Heisman for Oregon. Washington has not had a Heisman Trophy winner. I'm going to go ahead and give you my prediction now. Oregon is minus 2.5. The over-under is at 48. My prediction is over 48. Points per game for Oregon is 36. For Washington, it's 36.4. So that kind of surprised me. But think about Oregon playing that Auburn team. That really killed that number. 1 touchdown in that game would have been the difference of who scores more in game. Well, it wouldn't have, but it would have been 3.1 or yeah, it would have been 3.1 so 3.4. So I guess we are a few touchdowns off. Sorry. Yards of play for Oregon is 6.3 to Washington is 6.1. Oregon rushes the ball 51 and passes 49. Talk about a balanced attack. Washington rushes the ball 55% and passes 45%. Completion percentage for Oregon Ducks is 69%, and that's really good for a 50-50 pass team, to where Washington is 64%, which is still way up there. Both teams are pretty precise when it comes to moving the ball in air. Third down conversion rate is 39% for Oregon and 34% for Washington. With all these numbers and stuff, they both had a couple categories in defensive stats. Both these teams are pretty equally matched. I'm just kind of liking the flair of Oregon and the momentum right now. But if I had to take the points, it's like, man, I don't know which one I'd go. It's just going to be a close game, I feel like. Both teams are pretty equal on paper, and you're just going in with what, momentum, or what are you gonna take? You're gonna take home field advantage. I couldn't draw the line on there, but I do like with their average points and how consistent teams play. Both teams are very consistent first and in second half. Strength of schedule, I have Oregon at number 19 and Washington at 35. So I think Oregon's had just a little bit different schedule. Not big of a difference though. But I think that one Auburn game really did toughen Oregon up a lot. They know, okay, you know what? We need to be a little more explosive. Not like they weren't that game. It's just that Auburn was there on was there ahead of them, it seemed like, on everything they were doing, especially on the comeback win. And it sucked when you're watching that game. You're like, yep, it's probably going to happen. Aim it now. And then it started creeping up, and then lo and behold, Auburn was able to do that. So, this game, since both teams are so consistent, I don't even like the 2.5 points. I was like, if I guess I had to take it, I think Oregon wins by what, 2, 1, 3? It's too much gray matter for me, but I do like the over. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed everything, and let's have fun on this Saturday football. Comment below who you like